Okay, from NPR News in Washington, I'm Dave Mattingly.
And I'm Jack Spear.
I'm Nora Rahm. Your turn.
I'm blanking out. From what? Larry?
I got another one. From NPR News, I'm Janine Hirsch.
Damn it. Isn't it Janine Herbst? I'm Janine Herbst. I'm in for Larry Mantle. That's a good one.
I'm Ari Shapiro.
I'm Windsor Johnston.
I'm Mary Louise Hirsch.
No, it's Mary Louise Kelly. Okay. I'm Mary Louise Kelly. This is Marketplace.
Ari Colvin? That sounds like it should be one.
I'm Rachel Martin.
Maureen McKinney. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. On the BBC News Hour. Is that Jack Spear?
This is Marketplace with Sabri Benashore.
And I'm Kai Rizdal. Once you say one, then I can't. That's the only one I can hear.
Yeah.
On All Things Considered, I'm Elsa Chang. And I'm David Barancaccio. It's Weekend Edition. I'm Aisha
Roscoe. Love Aisha Roscoe.
Ari Shapiro.
Steve Inskeep. This is Weekend Edition. I'm Scott
Horsley. And I'm
Shmi Singh. I'm Lakshmi Singh.
I'm Scott Simon.
Zay Martinez.
And I'm Windsor Johnston.
And I'm still Dave Mattingly.
TBTL. Hey, you either get it or you don't. I don't, but I am so excited to be a part of it.
It's romantic and it's full of these sort of situations, which turns out to be that's very interesting, very scary at times, but also a lot of romance and really well made.
Can I blow your mind right now? Chris is laughing because he knows where I'm going with this.
It's nothing like when your lips contact a skinless strawberry. You understand that the strawberry was created to be loved.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Wednesday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
The words mean nothing.
My name is Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
He's got Riz, like he just does.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, where it's kind of a cloudy, but I realized muggy day here.
I feel warm and I'm levitating.
On this Wednesday, I'm halfway through a giant container of sliced watermelon to try to regulate my body temperature and put me in the exact right physical and mental space to present to all of you episode 4766 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
Counting it down. Just a couple more days before we head to Valley City, Ohio for TBTL-a-thon 17, Jumping for Joy, where we will be there as part of the Valley City Frog Jump Festival. In the meantime, though, we've got some food news to talk about on the show today.
Welcome to Food News Today.
Apparently, Pizza Hut is tired of getting out pizzaed, and they're going to try to do something about it. They are going to, well, we'll tell you in a moment.
Sometimes you got to stop and smell the pizza.
I don't want to hide the pickle on you, but you're going to just have to listen to hear what Pizza Hut is doing. Also, 7-Eleven, you know that paragon of incredible design and branding. 7-Eleven is very mad that Nike is, they say, ripping them off for some of their shoes.
How dare you?
We'll talk about what's going on there. And we'll talk to this guy. He's always got a story on a Wednesday morning. He's the longest-running Cobra of the show.
From my point of view, it's a beautiful story. I love your story.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. After years of being nagged by my cat, who apparently loves me to death but does not love me as a podcaster and leaves the room every time I crack a microphone.
Yeah.
We're trying it out with another pet. We got Lucy down here today. She's been chewing on ice cubes and chewing on some bone here that our friend Katie gave her as a gift this weekend, and she's looks pretty blissed out and is enjoying herself.
So this is a big step. Lucy has never audited the podcast before, right?
No, I was thinking about this. It's kind of hard to explain, but I feel like literally in the past, 5 days or so, Lucy has made some major strides in going from being a puppy to our dog, which I didn't I don't know if that really makes sense, but like there was just when she was a brand new puppy, as I talked about a lot on the show, she had to be like kind of constantly watched and constantly cared for. And, you know, if you turned your back on her, she might be peeing somewhere, or she might be, you know, rummaging through a garbage can and getting into stuff she isn't supposed to get to. She's a relatively well-behaved dog. We haven't had any like major a major disaster or anything about her chewing anything that she shouldn't be chewing that's been super valuable or anything. I hear horror stories about that. She's been pretty good, but she's still a puppy. And now, I don't know, this weekend I told you I was working out in the yard for almost like 4 days straight and like just had her with me at all times. And it was just kind of like wherever I went, she would go. And now the basement is like a place where she can be, and we can trust her not to treat the basement like the outdoors, aka a toilet, if you know what I mean. And so yesterday, Genevieve and I had to record a couple of episodes of After These Messages because I'm gone next week, and so that was a long time. We're just like, let's just see what happens. Let's just let her down here, and she was very chill. She was very chill for the first episode, a little rambunctious. One skill that I am learning is I've learned how to play fetch and podcast at the same time, but don't worry, I'm not the one fetching the ball. I'm the one throwing the ball. But, yeah, and then today I'm just like, why don't you just come down here with me, chew on your little bone, listen to the... I hate to say it, but the best side of the TBTL podcast. Sorry, Luke, they're both good, but, you know, Lucy prefers my side, and that's what we're doing. We're just chilling.
Well, she hasn't had the option, really.
Well, yeah, no, I mean
honestly, it's I think it's unfair of you to make that judgment when she has not been presented with, my side of the podcast.
Well, she does hear me editing the podcast, which means she hears me editing out
she hears
everything.
You cutting out the parts that where I'm talking.
Well, not where you're talking, but your best parts. I just want to make sure that you're never putting your best foot forward. So you don't listen to TBTL, do you? You don't know what I'm leaving in the
not
show.
a fan.
Okay, no,
it's not really for me.
Sometimes to go to sleep. Do you ever listen to it just to go to sleep?
I've told you this before, and it's kind of embarrassing, but the times when I am most apt to listen to the show, which might be, I mean, honestly, maybe 2 times in a year, it'll be maybe I've had a few small beers, and I get in some kind of a weird feeling where it's sort of like the thing we were referring to the other day of like, if somebody starts following you on Instagram, you might go look at your own Instagram to try to get a sense of what that person's experience is becoming a follower of yours on Instagram. Sometimes I'll kind of think, I wonder what this show sounds like to people.
Yep, I get that.
And then I'll listen to it,
Yep.
a little bit of it. And honestly, probably just fall asleep listening to it. I have the experience that many listeners do. It's a really good sleep aid. Really knocks me right out.
That's what we hear. Yeah. So those are the occasions for me too. Again, it's very, very rare, but it would be like maybe if I realize somebody, a friend of mine from IRL or something is tuning in, I might be curious, like, oh, what did we sound like on any particular day? Or the other time I'll find myself doing it is, it'll usually be like 2 days after I've told some sort of major stem winder. I don't mean my usual just hogging the mic BS. I just mean like
editing me out, showing off for your dog.
Exactly.
That kind of shit.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, I haven't had one in a while, maybe, thankfully, but like, remember that one show where I had, speaking of dogs, the kind of dog sitting adventure that did not go very well, and it was very dramatic, at least in my interpretation of events. And so that ended up just being like an hour of me just telling you a singular story, sort of. Sometimes it'll be like, I'll do that, and then that night I'll think, oh, yeah, God, I wonder how that came out, and then I don't touch it. But then maybe like 2 nights later, I'll be like, probably wasn't that bad, right? And then they just listen to the beginning of it. And then you hear the drops at the beginning. And you're like, there's so much more to this show than just my bullshit. So I don't know why I said BS before. The show is getting bluer as I go on.
In front of your
I know
young dog whose virginal ears have never heard such things as the BS word.
See, and you're keeping it. Oh, I'm going to cut that out, but I appreciate you keeping it clean for her. But anyway, and then I'll do that, and then you remember, like, oh, it's more than just the one flub I said here. Like yesterday, I flubbed. Remember, I made several mistakes. I believe I referred to the January 5th riots that will live with me forever. I mean, it was just a small flub, but again, I don't believe I'm going around referring to the 9/12 attacks or anything. It's just sort of, and so that'll live with me. But then I got to remember, wait, there was like 90 minutes of other things around that, and so it's a
so
good
generally
reminder.
when you go back and listen, it's kind of calm. It usually you leave that experience feeling a little bit less bad about whatever thing was kind of stressing you out?
Usually. Now, and again, I'm not talking about the flubs like yesterday. I'm talking more about like if I told a long story, I'm like, ugh, I don't know, man. But if I get like real rat-a-tat-tatty and I'm in the middle of a story and I'm not even paying attention to which words I'm using anymore, I go back. I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't too bad. I will be honest with you. That is the majority of the time I feel better. There are times where I'm like, oh, I wonder, I should listen to TBTL, and I put it on. I'm just like, oh God. And then I'm just like, I got to turn this off. I'm annoying myself. Why am I doing this to myself in my off time,
For me, it would be maybe more the opposite, where it's like there's something where I was like, man, I nailed that. Like when I said that was so funny, or that interaction, or like I'm thinking something was maybe a piece of tape or something was really good, and then I'll go back and listen. I'll be like, oh, that was kind of fine. I'm going back to pat myself on the back, and then I realize, it's all right. And you're going back because you've been beating yourself up, and you're like, well, that's fine. It turns out we meet in the middle. We both be like, yeah, it's fine.
Hey, guess what? The podcast is fine. I mean, I'm making it sound like this is, well, no, I mean, we set this up by saying it's pretty rare that I go back and listen, but it was much more when I was brand new on the show. This is taking me back to like, what was it, 2012 when I started working with you? Like in your studio in Mount Baker, I'd show up there either after our shift at Cairo or before my night shift at Cairo, depending on the era. But when I was brand new, I mean, I was sitting there. I was a listener of TBTL. I almost said fan. I was a listener of TBTL leading up to that. It was a big deal to be on the show, especially in sort of like a regular role like that. And Jen was gone. A lot of listeners were like, we miss Jen. We don't love this dude, which is totally fine. And there was just like a lot going on. And, I was on Facebook at the time. And so I was seeing the feedback and there's a lot going on. And I would leave the Mount Baker studio feeling really bad, like bad.
Andrew.
Well, I would talk about it at the time though, too, I think. And then I would go back home and I'd be like, oh, this isn't so bad. This wasn't so bad at all. So I did sort of learn early on in my TBTL thing that if I'm feeling bad, go back and listen. It's probably not that bad. Sometimes, like I say, every now and then you're like, oh, shit.
If this podcasting thing doesn't work out, I think I may have a future, Andrew, in spa and pool technology, because I pulled something off over the last couple of days that I was very proud of, which is, that like maybe, I guess it was maybe last summer, I bought one of those big stock tanks. It's like that big metal round thing that if you have livestock, you fill it up with water and they come drink out of it in the pasture or whatever. But it's become kind of in style for people to kind of trick them out and turn them into little, I guess you could say soaking tubs or something. I mean, you couldn't call it a swimming pool. You can't swim in it, but you can sit in it and it does cool you down, I'll tell you, on a hot summer day, because they're probably, I don't know, maybe 3 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall. So I bought one of those, and it was actually pretty fun. Me and my parents were sitting in it on some really hot days. The problem is you fill it with clean water, and then, literally after one day, the water is getting kind of, it's not that it's brackish, it's not turning green, it's just that there's so much particulate in the air, cottonwood and just like dust and dirt and things and dead bugs, and pretty soon it's just kind of like the water is really gross. And so I'd noticed that some people I saw online had put a pool filter on these things. You can hook up a full filter which kind of moves the water around and sucks it into this one tube, and then the kind of filter that I bought is a sand filter. It's got this kind of egg-shaped thing that's full of this particular kind of silica. That, by the way, does not come with the filter, I learned.
The sand does not come, which is probably
is not included.
Good, because that'd be a lot of shipping cost for something that is
sand is heavy.
Yeah.
It's incredibly heavy. Actually, I didn't expect that, so I had to go get the sand. You fill it up, and then the idea is it sort of filters the pool and keeps it kind of clean. Now, I started off. I was going to cut these holes, and I was trying to figure out. For some reason, I wasn't home when I was doing this. Maybe I was at Home Depot getting something else, and I realized, I want to try to do this project, so I need to buy a hole saw. I need to buy, not a hole saw, but, like that round kind of
it's not a drill bit. It's not like the big round drill bit that you put on.
It is, but actually, interestingly enough, it is. It's a big round circle, and it has a drill bit in the middle of it. If you can imagine that, and that goes onto your drill. And yes,
I think
what happened. I didn't have the measurements on me. I hadn't measured it. I hadn't gone to Home Depot to buy this, but while I was there, I was like, oh, I should just get that. So I go onto Amazon, which is where I bought the filter, and I'm looking up the specs on it, and it says 1.5 inch, like tubes or pipes. I'm okay, so I get this little hole saw thing, whatever you want to call it, hole blade, that is 1.5 inches. And then I get home, and then I figure out where I want to put these holes, and I drill through the side of the stock tank, and there's no going back from that. And then I go get the pipes, the little things, and I realize they're way too big for this. Like, it technically might be 1.5 inches, but the actual, for whatever reason, the actual to push this thing through, because you push it through from one side and then you tighten it down on the other side, it kind of clamps it together, kind of along the wall of the stock tank. It's more like 3 inches. It needs a much larger opening, and I don't know how I got confused. But so I go and then I buy a larger kind of saw blade that's now like 2.5 inches, and I think, okay, I'll just kind of like push this in and I'll widen these holes. You can't do that, because you need, when you're doing this initially, the drill bit is drilling into the metal, and then it's gripping and it's pulling the wider saw blade along with it. So if that drill bit is just going into the void,
it's got nothing to grip onto.
It's got nothing to grip. So I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, because this is like way too hard to try to snip this with tin snips or file it out, because it needs to be like twice as big as it is. So of course I have to call Walt, like I'm 10 years old, and he's like, well, what you probably got to do is like clamp a board to the side of the stock tank.
Give the bit something to grab onto.
Something to deal with, and then you drill into that.
Look at Walt.
I'm telling you, that guy's, and he says this thing very casually. He's like he's done this a million times. Like he's been whatever, cutting into sheet metal on stock tanks for his whole life. He goes, another thing is, you don't want to don't jam, don't use a bunch of force. You almost want to kind of let the saw blade almost kind of just wear down the metal.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I was like, okay, whatever, dude. And then when I started doing this, that was exactly right, because if I would push it down too hard, it would just kind of lock up. It kind of, for some reason, it wouldn't cut properly. It would be, I'd have to almost be feathering it and kind of just letting it barely touch the metal. I don't know if it had to do with the metal heating up, but even down to just like, don't press on it too hard, he was right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, I got this wood clamped on there. I got my headphones in. I'm listening to Robbie Hoffman being interviewed on the New York Times interview show.
Now,
got my big floppy hat on.
I'm surprised that you're listening to headphones during, like, I listen to headphones during, all kinds of like tedious tasks. Once you get into it, mowing the lawn, like that's fine. But like a project like this, you have one little task that you're doing that is kind of like, you got to get it right. You know what I mean? You can't, if you mess it up, your whole thing is sort of messed up. I'm surprised that you're not like earbuds out, like full focused attention on this task.
Sometimes I do that for some reason. I just put my headphones in and I'm wandering around the yard. I'm going down to the basement to get stuff. I end up at the stock tank, but it was kind of like, that was just what was going on. Of course, I did stop listening because Bob came over and I was like, please do not look at me in my shame as I try to like fix this thing that I've already screwed up. And I've talked about this plenty of times on the show, but it's like, I mean, we've done so much remodeling here at my house, but that's always been under the watchful eye of Walt Burbank, and also it's been Walt Burbank doing it. Like, there's very few things that I just like tackle as a project by myself and it goes okay. And a thing that was kind of frustrating me about this was, well, I'll get to that part of the story in a moment, but it's like, I just feel embarrassed about my construction skills, remodeling skills, modification skills. I just seem to always do everything a little bit wrong. Like this, I somehow cut the hole too small, and now it's really hard to figure out how to expand the hole. Like, nothing ever just kind of goes. And what it was also was, I've watched a bunch of videos of people doing this to their stock tank pools, and they are generally like 22-year-old women who are very conventionally cute, who are like, have like painted their stock tank like some kind of pink and blue stripes, and it's all cute, and they're like, hey, I put a filter in, and it like provides them with absolutely there are no challenges to it. They just like drill into the thing and then they hook it up and then it's working, and it's this cute little scene in their backyard. And I'm like, I'm 50 years old. Why is it that I can't just do something as effectively as the 22-year-old gal on YouTube who's just like this took her like an hour of her life, and now everything's working great.
Real question, and I don't know if this is like obvious or whatever, but like my assumption is, especially for these like influencer videos, this isn't their first. Are they? Do you get the impression that they're filming it their very first time trying it? Or are they trying to like kind of make it seem like this is the first time I've tried this and it's coming out perfectly? Or they know what they're doing, like anybody who makes like a how-to video?
Well, unless they have like a bunch of stock tanks lined up, like these aren't stock tank influencers, if that makes any sense. It's just somebody at their house who's like, hey, I set this up and I'm going to show you how I did it. So I do think that, I think in this case, the couple of them that I watched, my sense was these people were just doing it for the first time. And they just had measured properly what they needed to do. Instead of being at Home Depot, not having the information, trying to get it off of Amazon, you know, getting the information wrong. Bob is now walking over. I'm wrestling with this like hole saw and this wood, and I'm trying to like cut through it, and it's kind of not going great. It's like the drill is heating up. The drill is like a $250 drill. The stock tank was $200. It's like if I ruin a $250 drill.
Yeah, you can burn the motor out on those things.
Yeah. So I'm just like, and then Bob's coming over. He's like, hey, I'm like, please, sir, please do not observe me in this time of shame. So then I'm explaining to him, I'm like, yeah, I cut the holes too small the first time, and then it's really hard to recut them because there's nothing for the drill bit to grab. He's like, oh yeah, that'll happen. You know, so he's just kind of watching me for a while, and I'm kind of working away on it. And eventually I actually managed to expand the hole to the size it needs to be. But because I just managed to always do things slightly wrong, what this now means, initially when I had cut the holes, I had specifically put them at a certain level of the stock tank because I wanted to make sure that they did not ever find themselves, those holes, below the water line. I did not want to make them too high up on the walls of the tank, whereas if there was evaporation in the summertime and the pump is running and then there's no water because so I wanted them to be low enough that they would never be, the water line would never drop beneath where they are. And that was all fine and good when it was an 1.5 inch hole. But now, because I've made them a 3-inch hole, it has moved one of the holes into this weird, this is very hard to explain, but when they make these stock tanks, they roll these things out, this metal, and there are these different kind of like contours to it, and like a kind of I don't know what you would call it, but like basically
almost like a pleat, sort of.
Something, yes, exactly. There's basically like a pleat that now the hole is going into the pleat, which means when I'm trying to cinch down the fitting for the whole thing, it's not just going against a flat surface. It's now going against a surface where the lower part of the circle of this vent thing that I'm screwing in is now hanging out in space. It's now hanging out over a divot.
Yeah, it's not flush.
And it's just like, and I'm just like, why does everything have to be so hard? Why do I have to why do I have to do everything wrong? So I'm talking to Bob about it.
This is still, I mean, and again, I should just save this for the end, but like I can hear your anguish here, but like this is all so universal. The feeling of frustration that you're feeling is real, but also I hope that at least that, and it sounds like we're going somewhere with this, but like also everything you're describing is way more reality based than the influencers who make it seem super easy. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like 99% of people who do a project like this are learning how to do it on the fly as well and hit that moment where they're like, shit, I effed this up. You know what I mean? And like, and then anyway, but continue because I think
you're right. I think it would be good for me to remember that. I also think I just am very. What's the opposite of resilient? I am really non-resilient around stuff like this. I was telling you, there was something else the other day that it was such a small thing, but it was the lawnmower. It was that lawnmower that my friends Spring and Scott gave me that, after the first time I used it, didn't want to start up. And I just was I guess I got to go to Home Depot and get a new one. And then it involved me just getting some starting fluid from my neighbor Bob and starting it up. And it was like, even something as small as that, it's just like, I'm just so easily sort of like dispirited by any kind of a hiccup in a project. And even when my dad's working on stuff, what I'm not really clocking is that he's always hitting bumps in the road. There's always a thing that is like, this doesn't work the way we thought it was going to work, or I got to do this different. Like that just comes with the territory. But when it happens to me, I think it just ties into some sort of deep like insecurity around this stuff and feeling of kind of inadequacy. And so yes, this is happening to people all the time. I'm just especially bad at rolling with it. So I'm just like, I can't believe that after all this, I've now ruined this in some way. I've made this so that it's not there's just gonna be water dripping out of it. But Bob was like, if you get a little like inner tube or some kind of rubber, you could probably put it under that part of the clamp and you could kind of tighten it down. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I was thinking putty or something. I was thinking like some sort of water
silicone.
Yeah, like something like that.
Well, I'll tell you, I did that too. I really went to town with the silicone, but yeah. So I went in my basement, I'm looking around. I find a swim cap that I wore. Actually, I don't even think I wore it. I think it was a souvenir swim cap from the South Beach Rowing Club, which was when I did that cold water swim in San Francisco. I got a swim cap from them. So I'm like, oh, this is like an inner tube. So I sort of carefully, I cut up a little section of this rubber, whatever you want to call it, kind of swim cap thing. And I kind of make it into this little square, and I get a bunch of silicone, and I basically kind of silicone it into this one area. And then I tighten this thing down, and I do all the silicone around it too. I mean, I go really nuts with that. So that's very, very hopefully watertight. I go to the other one. It has its own little problems, different than the other one, but I figure it out. Like, I've got to really tighten this nut down so that I can put this other kind of piece on it that doesn't want to go on. And again, I hit this point where I'm like, well, this is never going to work. And then I just kind of like problem solved it, worked on it a little bit more, kind of got it to work. I hook up the tubes. And then this was another thing. I really wanted to fill the stock tank to see if these things were going to hold. But I went online and they said, you need to let silicone dry for 24 hours.
Sure, yeah. That's the waiting is the hardest part.
It was, because I just wanted to know how screwed this thing was. But I was like, Burbs, do not do that. Just let it, just go do something else. Leave it alone for 24 hours to give it the best chance of success. And so yesterday, it had been 24 hours, went out there, started the water running in the morning. It takes a long time to fill up this big tank. And by afternoon, the water line had moved above where the vents were. And it was the moment of truth. And I went around to the back of the stock tank where the hose is coming out, and there was nary a leak.
Nice. Jalapeno.
On either of them. And then, even more satisfying, I plugged in the pump and I turned it on, and it shot to life and immediately started circulating the water. Nice. I think it's a little more pump than you need for this stock tank, which is kind of what I wanted. It just starts aerating. It comes with this kind of like aerating nozzle. So it's just like, it's kind of a nice water feature, kind of this nice bubbling sound. It's putting these air bubbles into the water. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's circulating the water. It's coming, it's being pulled out. And the water was sparkling blue. And as the Mariners were absolutely crapping the bed in extra innings by pitching to a guy they had no business pitching to, I just walked outside and just stared at my crystal blue, beautiful stock tank pool, which is going to be now clean all summer, and I can lounge in it and I can sit in it. And when I tell you the satisfaction I had, my old house in Bellingham, of course, I was always talking about how it had a swimming pool. That was one of the main appeals of that house to me. And that was a pretty nice in-ground, like big 1950s swimming pool. And I loved that thing. It was my very favorite thing about living there, pretty much. And I would float in it in the summer almost every day. I liked looking at it. It was a very grand feature of the home. I would put this stock tank, I would put the satisfaction that I had watching this water circulate in the stock tank pretty close to my excitement about having that swimming pool in Bellingham. Like, it was irrational exuberance. The feeling that when all of this crap that I was setting up and breaking and almost making it non-functional, but then somehow figuring out how to make it work, when it all worked and I just saw that water circulating, I tell you what, I felt so good.
That's great. Yeah, and also you didn't build that pool in Bellingham. It was beautiful, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you had that sense of accomplishment around it at all.
No, I mean, I guess also what it is a lesson for me in I don't always need so much, because like sitting in this little converted livestock water tank, sitting in it on a hot summer day is very satisfying. Like it feels really good. And it's not quite as nice as having a swimming pool with a diving board and all that stuff, but it's it's like 80% of the enjoyment, and it's so much less of the hassle and expense and all those things. Like maybe that's a lesson for me too, that sometimes I think I need a swimming pool and maybe I just need a stock tank. Like that might be enough.
That could be like a
that's my motivational book.
Yeah, or kind of a guiding principle of your life going forward. Now, I hesitate to ask this because I could really mess up the show by by sending you on a different story or a story you no longer want to talk about. But I'm just curious. I've actually been curious since yesterday's show. Remember how we had a conversation? I'm telling way too much here, but anyway, remember how we had a conversation like at the 1 hour mark of yesterday's show about whether or not you should hit the top story sounder? I was like, absolutely, you should hit it. We haven't gotten the top stories because I thought the thing you had written on the show sheet as like sort of top of show chat was the World Cup, but that was actually supposed to be a top story. You had something else on your mind at the beginning of yesterday's show, and I will read directly from the show notes if that is not a violation of your privacy here. It said, Luke is getting ready
for
a
violation for some reason.
It's a hippo violation because it involves hippos. It says Luke is getting ready for a delivery that has him fighting some feelings, and I'm curious, was it this filter that you were waiting on, or is this a totally different thing and you no longer want to talk about it? And
I've been going back and forth. I've been going back and forth on if I want to talk about it.
Oh, I really did it. I really did it. I put you on the spot. You want me to cut this out? Want me to just put 2 minutes of beeping tone?
Generally speaking, yes, just 3 minutes of Buster Bluthing, please.
And then at the end, you just say, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
I've been going back and forth about talking about this for a couple of reasons. But usually when we kind of don't want to talk about something, that's usually the indication that there's something kind of compelling there.
Yeah, because I do want to take you off the spot. Like if you want to, we can totally. You don't have to talk about anything you don't want to.
I think it's kind of
usually.
I think it's kind of interesting. But let me do this. Just for for the sonic ID of the show, make this the top story.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
So there's two things here that I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about, and one of them, the first thing is it just kind of feels almost like it's related to, it's like one neighborhood over from what I was just talking about with the pool, about how I'm kind of insecure about my ability to sort of do home projects and things like that, and so I'm wondering if this is just more of Luke kind of bemoaning his emotional and mental state, but. I have a friend coming over later today, a friend of mine, and he is really a super sweet guy, and he and his wife have become really good friends, Becca and I, but they live in an unbelievably beautiful home in the Irvington neighborhood of Portland, which is a kind of like Queen Anne or maybe Madison Park, like a really lovely historic neighborhood with old historic homes, and they just have a beautiful home that they've after they bought it, they remodeled it. They live in the kind of house that Becca and I have taken an Uber to their house for a party before, and the Uber driver has said, my goodness, what a home. He's somebody who's been very, very successful in business in his life. And they were supposed to come over. We went out on their boat in the summertime in the Columbia, on the mighty Columbia. In fact, we parked on this little beach that I'm actually looking at right now from the Madrona Hill studio. We had a lovely afternoon. And we were supposed to come back to the house and have some dinner, and the day got away from us. It was kind of late, and we ended up skipping it. And I'll tell you, honestly, I was very relieved because I'm fighting my own insecurity about the fact that this guy has a tremendous amount of sort of capital, if you will. But also, they drive incredibly normal cars. They are careful with what they spend money on. They've donated to Livewire when it was, really kind of financially in a pinch. Like these people are so incredibly understated about things and are not opulent at all, or they don't flaunt things. But I'm really struggling with the fact that, like, I know Becca's been saying, "Oh, Luke's been fixing this house up," and it's been this big conversation, and I'm like really battling this feeling of not wanting to, of feeling kind of like wanting to downplay the house or wanting to, like, I don't know. I'm just worried he's going to come over and be like, in his mind, oh, this is what Becca's been talking about for the last 2 years. And I'm also mad that I would even have that feeling, because who cares? First of all, most people don't think that way. And second of all, why would I be so insecure about something like this? So that's,
and thirdly, your place is beautiful. Like, imagine bringing him to my place. Picture
No, that's
that.
not true. Your place is awesome.
No, I mean,
The
I love
difference
my
is-
place too, but like, I'm broadcasting from a musty basement.
Well,
come
I
on.
would. The reason here's the only reason that I'm having these feelings about this is because all that this guy and his wife have been hearing for like the last 2 years is Luke has been working on remodeling this, dream home or something, and I think that kind of gives slightly the wrong impression. It is a really nice house now. It's lovely. I really love being here, but it's like I just get insecure about somebody, particularly somebody who has themselves an incredible home. Kind of, I don't know what he's expecting, but whatever it is, I'm nervous about him having an expectation that will not be met, and then I'm mad at myself that I care about that kind of stuff.
And there's no chance that they would be hearing this conversation, or is this another level?
Well, that's part of
it?
why I was considering not talking.
That's
about
why
it.
we can still edit it all out. We can
God, this is
roll
gonna
back.
be a
We
long
can roll.
bleep.
We can
This is
roll.
gonna
My
be-
God.
I'm so sorry, everyone. Although you can't even hear me apologizing because this is also bleep.
Luke, we have to do well in the TV telethon because I'm running out of bleep money. Do you have any idea how expensive this
The
is?
swear jar. All of our income is going into the swear jar right now. I would say that. Here's the thing. I would say this to these folks' face because this is about me.
Mm-hmm.
This is about my own weird insecurity. And by the way, there's lots of people that I would bring out to this place, and I would be so proud of this place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't love this house. I really do. It's that there's a handful of people that I know that have just been much more successful financially in life than I have, and in those moments, it's very challenging for me to not feel insecure about that, which again is a really weird thing coming from me because I've had a lucky life and I get to do a lot of fun stuff, and that just shouldn't be a factor in my mind. And the fact that it is, I really don't like that for myself. And the fact that I've been thinking for weeks about when he's going to come by and like how's it going to look. I've just been obsessing over it in a way that is, again, really makes me feel kind of embarrassed. Now, here's the other part of the story, Andrew, that I didn't. The second reason I didn't want to get into this, maybe this is even more important, or this is even more something that the listeners will just absolutely. Ready, everybody? Get your phone. Make sure your otter case is on it and get ready to throw it. What my friend is bringing up to my house today, Andrew, is a boat that he's giving me.
Oh, this will be. So wait a second. I forgot. I saw a photo of your house recently, or you sent me something, and I saw a boat in the background. I was like, "Oh, Luke already has a boat." I forgot that you still have a boat. So now you're going to be a double boat owner. Oh, it's good good for the brand.
I'm back to being a double boat owner as of this afternoon, and I know the listeners are like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Half of this show is me telling stories about my disastrous sea voyages.
You know what they say, though, and this is a very true idiom. The happiest days of a boat owner's life is the day he buys a boat and the day his friend gives him a boat. That's what they say.
They also say that it's emotionally healthier for the boats to have two of them.
And it's better for them both to be on land
very
at all
lonely
times.
You don't want to be the only boat in a family. It's kind of actually not great for their mental stuff. The boat that I have is it's an old, the one that's up on a trailer, like in my kind of driveway area, is an old 1950s wood boat from Bellingham called a Norseman. It's a runabout, and I love it so much. It's a great boat. It's wood though, and over the years, it's just kind of decayed to a point where it's not really savable. The motor is, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Somebody could save it, but just not me. It's like I would have to like take it somewhere, and they'd have to pretty much just rebuild most of it.
Oh, so what has been? Let's just leave the new boat.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have a biblical saying about putting old boats in new casks or something?
Yes.
But
don't put old boats on new trailers because Jesus said.
Can I put a little marker here as a possible show title? Because right now I just have running out of bleep money as a show title. Listen, I do have a question about it. So I didn't realize that was the state of this boat. And you say you said the style of this boat, but it's a Chris Craft as well, right? Isn't it?
No,
it's not.
The one that I crashed and the one that we went out on and went to the Savage Moose in, that's a Chris Craft.
Oh, I thought they both were, and this was just different styles. Oh, okay.
No, this one is called a
again?
Norseman.
This was the Norseman. Okay,
a small company in Bellingham back in the day.
Okay, so this thing, what has been your thoughts on the boat that's on the trailer? before this new boat even came into the picture, I didn't realize that it was pretty much beyond use. I thought you were just waiting for the right time to maybe put it in the water again. Have you been thinking, well, I guess I got to like kind of face the music and eventually dismantle it? Or are you hoping someday maybe the right person will take it and get it in working condition? Or have you not gotten that far?
I think my plan was to try to sell the motor and the trailer, because those things are both in really good shape and they're worth a little something. Maybe just sell the whole thing to someone and say, you're really buying this for the motor and for the trailer. You can do whatever you want with the boat.
Yeah.
Which again kind of bums me out because I really love the boat, but it's just really, really hard to take unless you have like a covered, like kind of airtight place to keep the boat all winter when it's not out on the water. It's just the elements really get to it, I've learned. And so that's just been sitting. I've just been dragging my feet on what to do with it. And then my friend over the winter said, hey, you know what? I'm getting a new boat. And would you like my old boat? In fact, the boat that we went out on the Columbia in and beached on the little island in front of my house. And it was kind of an offer I couldn't refuse because, it's a ski boat and it's in good shape. And, I'm sure he could sell it to someone for some amount of money or donate it to Boats for Kids or something. But he said, you probably get some use out of this. And it worked really well when we took it out on the Columbia. And I kind of couldn't. I also have, weirdly, like this house. The guy before me must have had like RVs or something because there's like an ample amount of parking area. Like I could have like a smallish wedding out here and there'd be parking for like 30 people. So I sort of have the room if I, to store it until, I'm ready to put it in the water or whatever. So I kind of couldn't turn it down. But low key, part of the whole thing has been I've been slightly embarrassed about him coming out to see my house. But anyway, today is the day we're going to meet up at the marina.
So that's the delivery. The delivery is the boat.
The delivery is the boat. It starts with we're going to meet at the marina down in town. We're going to take the boat back out. He's going to show me any little kind of quirks about it. I think starting it, there's a little bit of a trick to that. He's just going to kind of give me the rundown on how to do everything. And then we're going to pull it back out of the water because the marina is booked. You cannot rent a space to kind of leave your boat this time of the summer.
Yeah.
So the boat's going to go back up on the trailer. It's going to get towed up here. We're going to put it next to the existing boat, and then we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to get it back down into the water a couple of times this summer in August.
You just drive it down to the marina, you park your car and trailer somewhere, truck and trailer somewhere, and then you take it out, then you put it back on the trailer at the end of the day. But then as long-term plan, maybe in the off season, you'll be able to book yourself a slip in this marina.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till it's a little bit less busy and see if I can. What I would like to do in the summertime is rent a slip, or they don't really do. And when I lived in Port Townsend, what I did with my other boat, well, this one, the one that's on the trailer, is you could do something called linear dock space, and that just means you don't really have a dedicated spot, but you can just tie your boat up wherever there's room, and so you don't have to take your boat out of the water. They don't do that at this marina. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but the dream scenario would be figure out a way to have the boat in the water for the summertime, go down there, use it, and then take it out in the winter. It's also, this is fiberglass. It's a ski boat. It's not wood. It's not nearly as precious, and it's not falling apart all the time. Although even those kinds of boats do take a lot of maintenance still. All boats take maintenance. But like I said, I was hesitant to talk about it because I can only imagine listeners going, is this guy getting back into the boat game? What the hell? And then also, again, my insecurity about my insecurity. Like, I hate that I care about something like that. I really wish I could turn that part of my brain off, but I can't. And I'm mad about it.
This is not a wrap-up question, but out of curiosity, just how far away is the marina? I'm just sort of trying to get a sense of, like, once your boat is there, will it be just like a 5-10 minute drive down to the marina?
Yeah, it's a 5-minute drive.
Oh, that's great.
It's super close. I mean, that's the thing. That's part of why I kind of couldn't turn it down, because if I get a slip at the marina and it's the summertime and it's 5 minutes from here, and, me and whoever's visiting or whatever want to jump in the boat and kind of just do a little lap on the river. I mean, it's sort of ideal. Like, it's really, really, it really would be kind of a cool scene. There's, a few things that have to happen before that. I also don't have a hitch. Like, I don't think my car, I have a Mazda. Maybe I could get some kind of aftermarket package put on where it would have a tow hitch, but I don't even know what its towing capacity is. So that's the other thing. I may have to, like, either buy another truck or either just rent a truck when I want to take it down to the marina, you know? So there are some unknowns around the whole thing.
Well, you know who's taking notes right now? Is it Mike O'Brien, who is your insurance person who actually listens to the show? I think they're learning right now that you are getting a boat, right? Time to update that policy or what?
You know what? I hadn't even thought about that. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Andrew. Bleep that out.
You know, this is a hard left here, but you were talking about maybe potentially having to get like a hitch on your car. You don't know what the tow capacity is.
Kevin O'Brien.
Kevin, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Kevin, you didn't hear any of that. I have no boats. There's zero boats up here.
I knew I was getting that wrong.
Did I tell you that? Sorry, really quick, and then we can get onto what you were saying. That something was going on with my insurance, and that I was getting an insurance quote for something. It wasn't from Kevin, by the way. It was for something else, and they said, "Well, you do have a crash on your record," and I was like, "A crash on my record?" And they were giving me the kind of rough sort of dates or the rough time span. I was like, I was not involved in any crash. I was so confused. It was the boat crash.
It was just a vehicle crash. You didn't realize.
It was because I claimed, I did crash the boat and it was totaled and I did make an insurance claim, but I didn't realize that that's sort of a moving violation.
Mm-hmm.
It was some auto insurance thing and it was like, oh yeah, I did crash a boat. Yeah, you know what? That's true. I crashed a boat.
Yeah.
I just felt like
suddenly you felt proud. You're like, oh, well, that was the boat. I crashed a helicopter. Are you kidding me?
Should only, you know what? If you crash a helicopter, that should affect your airborne insurance rates. If you crash a boat, that should affect your waterborne insurance rates. If you crash a car, that's your landborne insurance rates. I should not be held accountable for my landborne insurance because of my waterborne activities. As far as I'm concerned.
Argument there. All right, what I was going to say is stupid and hacking doesn't really go anywhere, but it is something I hear in commercials all the time now when I'm listening to the radio. And I don't know if it's for all car commercials or a specific car commercial, but they say negotiable dock fee may be applied. And every time I hear that, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to negotiate out of that. Like, that's the first thing I say when I walk into the dealership. If I ever, just like, you just said it's negotiable.
Yeah.
Like, how about we start by taking that line item right out of there?
Yeah, 100%. I'm negotiating. Yeah, why did you tell me it was negotiable?
Yeah, why would you say that? A flimsily mandated dock fee. That reminds me, by the way, and I know, like, I really complaining about whatever financial realities or that's how they get you is just like such an old man and so tedious thing to do. But here we go. I remember I took our car in to get it fixed, and we took it to the dealership. This was 2 weeks ago or something, and like the car was it was the fuel injector on one of the pistons, and it was a really expensive fix. And the dealership quoted us a lot of money to get it fixed, and they said you have to replace all 4 of these things or whatever. And so we ended up finding another garage nearby to take it to, which I absolutely love, by the way. Shoot, I'll try to shout them out later. This cool, like literally less than half a mile away, like 3 blocks away from the dealership, is this garage that is just so cool. I talked to the people at the front desk for like probably a half hour, dropping it off and taking it, just like BSing with them and stuff. Just really, really cool people.
Like Ballard places that specializes in like European cars or whatever?
I do think it might focus on European/German cars because we have a VW. So I will try. I'm not going to try to look up who it was right now, but I will try to give them a shout out because I really did appreciate the service. And anyway, but the dealership thing kind of, they quoted us what they quoted us and we left. But we had to sign a paper up front saying, no matter what, we're going to have to pay a certain amount of money just for the, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say analysis of the car. But, they look at the car, they figure out what's wrong with it. Like the estimate, but no matter what, whether we had them do the repair or not, we were going to have to pay, I think, $225 for the
diagnostics.
Diagnostics, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Just to figure out, like, well, what's going on with this car, right? And so we sign that, and then we get the estimate. They say, okay, this is what the problem is. This is what the estimate is. And we decide, okay, we're not going to go with you. And then so I go to pay that to go to pick up our car, and then I got to pay the diagnostic fee, which is fair. They did work to figure it out, right? But it was quoted as $225, and then I signed the paper, and it's like $275 or something like that, or maybe more, maybe closer to $300. I'm like, okay. And so I just glanced down at it, and some of it is tax, and that's, that is what it is. I'm not complaining about tax here. What I'm complaining about is just an extra $25 fee that is never explained. So they tell us it's going to be a $225 diagnostic charge or whatever, and of course you'll pay taxes on that. But then when you go to pay it, it's just like another line item that says $25 fee. And it doesn't say what the fee is for. And this is life in these United States these days. It's kind of, I'm sure the thing I signed said something like fees may apply, right? Or whatever. Like, I'm sure that legally they're totally fine on that.
Non-negotiable document.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what was this fee? And I feel like you're just seeing more and more industries just doing this. And like, I think of a fee as like, and I know that this is a bad example because it was so abused. It's like the use case of abusing fees, but you look at like Ticketmaster or something like that. But a lot of the fees were this idea of, well, like we're the people you're dealing with from the consumer side, but we have to work with both the artists and the venues, and everybody's kind of got their own fees. Like there might be fees involved in transactions, or even like a debit card fee, like, oh, I got a ATM fee, or I'm using my credit card at a soup restaurant and they're going to add a fee because the bank is charging them a fee. And it's kind of like, okay, I understand that is a fee. That is something that's something extra that is being tacked on. But I just took it to the dealership. There was no third party involved. They just said it's going to cost you $225, but then when I go to pay, it's actually $250 because there's a $25 fee without any breakdown of it. And it's kind of like, that's just $250. No, because I was already outside. So I took the paperwork, I signed it. I didn't really think much about it. And then I'm standing outside. And the only reason I even looked at it was because I was waiting for about 2 minutes for the person to drive my car around so I could take it away. I wouldn't have been rifling through the papers anyway, but I'm just standing out there. I'm holding the paperwork. I'm like, that was more expensive than I thought. And again, I'm not outraged by this. I'm not writing to the company. They've hit me up several times about like, take our poll. How was your service? And I'm kind of like, or take our survey, and I'm like, I don't feel like getting involved with it. It's $25. It's just part of living in the United States these days. But like, it is bullshit, right? Like, and I'm sorry again, Lucy, about the language, but like, it is like, just say it's $250. Like, I was going to pay it anyway. Don't call it $225 and then just add a $25 fee. What is the fee?
Well, let me ask you this. Doesn't the diagnostic then get folded into the overall cost anyway? I always thought it was like,
well, it would if we had them do it, but we didn't
that was
do
the
it.
dealership. That was the dealership. That was not the place where you actually.
No, I really liked the place. They were really cool.
Right.
They seemed like really straight shooters. And again, it was $25. And if they just said, hey, it's a $250 diagnosis fee or whatever, we would have paid it. We wouldn't have blanched at it, or we would have blanched and paid it anyway. Like, everything costs money. But I don't know. I just think there's just a lot of just like lying going on. Like,
I mean,
there's no. It's not like it wasn't because you held it overnight or anything like that. It would have said doc fee,
I mean, is it too late now to call them over $25? When I went back to Home Depot, because what I left out about the story of the stock tank was, not only did I cut the hole too small the first time, I was trying to cut it the second time with also not a large enough blade. It was larger but not quite big enough. And it was having all these problems. I hadn't yet gotten to the solution of the, putting the piece of wood up to kind of brace it or whatever.
Yeah.
So now I have these two, and they're like, I don't know, $25 a piece. These two round, hole saw thingies that are kind of jacked up now from being used. And really, it was my own dang fault. But I just thought, I don't know, I'll bring them back to the Home Depot and just say, like, these were too small and they didn't work for me. And I'll tell you, that lady refunded the money so quickly.
Really?
Like, zero questions asked. I was like, I'm really glad I brought these back in.
But you didn't take back the one that you used all three of them, but you just kept the one that was the right size.
I'm just keeping. No, I'm not taking the one that was the one that worked. I'm not taking that back. First, I was amazed that I would have taken store credit. I would have taken if they would have just given me maybe the leg bone from one of those giant skeletons that they're already starting to put out.
Yeah.
I was shocked, but when it comes to these slunk fees and things like that, I really need to be on the lookout, because I am the kind of person I'm not detail oriented, and I I'm not the kind of person who reads the bill at the restaurant. You know, when I get the check, I just kind of figure, well, that's what it cost. And in fact, oh, you know what? When we were in Chicago, Becca and I were in Chicago after the last Wait for Bill Curtis, and we went to get breakfast on like Saturday Saturday before we left, and we got breakfast, and it was a nice place in Chicago, kind of right there along by Millennium Park, and we were eating breakfast, and it's yummy and stuff, and then it's time to get the check, and the check comes in, it's $100, and I'm like. My first thought was just like, wow, breakfast is expensive these days. And I was like,
and if you get that at a dinner, you know, whatever, like there might be a beer or a cocktail involved.
Yes.
So this is breakfast.
Thank God, yes, because it was breakfast, no alcohol was consumed, and so that had me going, $100 just seems like a lot. But when they handed it to me, I literally was just going to sign it because I was just like, they sent me the bill, and then I said to Becca, I go, that's $100 for that breakfast. She goes, what? Yeah. And then we looked down, it was like, I had gotten like eggs and potatoes, and she had gotten, you know, I don't know, French toast or something, and I had a Diet Coke, and she had a coffee. It was like, there's no way that's $100. And I asked the person to come over, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that we mixed up your bill.
Oh, interesting.
She had charged us for someone else, but it was my card and my name, but they had charged me for someone else's thing. And thank God it was $100, because you know what? If it had been $70,
yeah, you wouldn't have
like
thought.
there's some kind of range where I would have just been like, damn, things are expensive these days. Luckily, it was so outrageous that I actually thought to ask. But like, I'm probably getting slunk feed left and right and not even realizing it because I'm not paying enough attention to the fine print.
Here I go once again with the email. Every week, I hope that it's from a female. Oh man, it's not from a female.
We didn't get to the top stories because I was too busy delving into my insecurities, but maybe we'll get to those stories tomorrow. In the meantime, do we have any emails or V-mails of note today?
Yeah, I got a couple here. I was going through the voicemail line. Got a good one regarding goldfish. I'll save that one. I got another one here from our friend Maggie from the Middleshelf. And Maggie is a frequent caller of the TBTL voicemail line. And I never know exactly where she's going to be going with her voicemails. And I'll be honest with you, this one, at one point, as I was listening to it, I think I had to leave the room for a second. I came back, and I know she's singing at one point during this. So let's just go on a journey with Maggie here regarding the TV show Moonlighting, which we were talking about the other day, and whether or not we feel like it would hold up in this day and age.
Hello, business boys doing the business. This is Maggie from the Middleshelf. When you guys are talking about Moonlighting, oh my God, that show, I loved that show. And I did try to watch it as an adult recently. And, oh boy, does it not hold up. Dear Lord, it had nothing. I really liked their chemistry, and I loved Sybil Shepherd and her silky blouses and her wiggly jiggly body, and I loved their chemistry back in the day. But the show does not hold up. And the Al Jarreau. Okay, you guys were trying to figure out where the moonlighting comes in. It comes in at the end. You know, it's like sun fly by night. You know, he's doing all that stuff. It goes on forever. But at the very end of the song, he says, moonlighting strangers who just met on the way. And that's it. Moonlighting. That's the only time he even says moonlighting. Also, coincidentally, I just watched Moonstruck for the first time in my life, and I really liked that movie. But anyway, Moonlighting, stupid as shit, honestly, but, man, did I love it in the 80s. Oh, okay, well, power out.
there you go.
Boy, what a journey.
You go on journeys with Maggie sometimes, exactly.
Moonstruck is, by all accounts, a fabulous film, right?
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Nicolas Cage, Cher.
Yeah, absolutely good.
Danny Aiello.
To me, it's almost a flawless movie, except for one major flaw in it, which is like there's some montage. I am not a fan of like montage scenes. Mm-hmm. Who did who's Kamarikev's favorite director? He did Scarface and
Brian De Palma.
Brian De Palma. Like, I feel like Brian De Palma movies always have some sort of like lacy interlude of a montage or something, and there's something that is sort of akin to that in Moonlighting, which is, for the record, Moonstruck. I'll always get it wrong. It would be amazing if Brian De Palma directed Moonstruck. But there's like some scene where Cher is going to go out on a date with Nick Cage, and she's kind of like, she has this like pampering herself montage, or like getting ready for the date, and, you know, maybe trying on clothes, or maybe even shopping. I'm not sure. And it just seems like I don't know why I'm focusing on this, because it's literally like 3 minutes or less out of a movie that is otherwise, in my opinion, infallible. But like, it just bums me out because I love that movie so much, and then you're just like, oh god, here comes the montage. But maybe that's part of movies from that era. You just got to take the good with the bad, and boy, do I recommend Moonstruck.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen it.
I mean, I don't want to overplay it, but I think it's a really nice movie.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little young when it came out, but I remember, 87. I guess I would have been 9. No, that's not how that works. I would have been 11. But I remember a lot of people really liking the movie, and it was sort of big in the pop culture, I feel like. You know, you'd see clips of it, or I don't know, just it was a movie that was on my radar, even though I had not seen it. And then, you know, I grew up and never thought to go back to it. But I bet you I would really like it. I like movies from that era. I'm a big When Harry Met Sally. I know this isn't a rom-com per se.
No, it kind of is. It is. I would put it probably as a rom-com.
I really like movies from this period of time in American cinema. So
yeah, and it's really
it
it's nicely shot. It gives you I know I've said this to you before, but it kind of scratches some of the like that New York itch that maybe a Woody Allen film would have, only it doesn't have the toxicity of it being a Woody Allen film. And it's not like it's not like it's that kind of humor or anything, but it just kind of get, you know, old brownstones and New York City and beautiful old money sort of. It's just and Olympia Dukakis is in it. I don't know if that was one of the people that you listed as well, and she's just really incredible. Like it really is like, it's heartwarming without being saccharine. I think that's the thing, and that's what I think I like out of a movie like that. Like, it does give you feels, but it doesn't feel manipulative, and it seems like it's pretty well grounded. And
it was directed by Norman Jewison, who directed Fiddler on the Roof, one of my very faves.
True.
Have you ever seen Fiddler on the Roof?
No, no.
I don't know if like that's something that at age 49, if you watched it, if it would be particularly meaningful to you. But like, I grew up watching that movie. I mean, it's a musical, but I just like love it so much. There's a bunch of like The Sound of Music, The Music Man, Fiddler on the Roof. There might be another one too, I'm forgetting, that are like these musicals that I just absolutely love, but only because I was subjected to them as a young kid. Like if I watched it now for the first time, I'd be like, why do they why are they singing?
Yeah, I'm not into musicals.
I don't like when people, and I have generally no patience for new musicals. I don't really, not into Broadway musicals, but if you get me young enough, I guess, if you get me at age 7 or something, you know, like, and Becca also grew up watching these same movies, so we will just, sometimes we'll be driving on the road just singing deep cuts from Fiddler on the Roof.
What's a deep cut?
Okay. If I Were a Rich Man that's the above the that's the number one on the call sheet. If I were a rich man, da 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 da. All day long I'd biddy biddy bum if I were a wealthy man. Okay, but then you get down to like Sunrise, Sunset. You get down to Do You Love Me, which is a song Tevye and his wife, they're in bed. He's asking like, do you love me? She doesn't want to admit that she loves him. She says, for 25 years, I've washed your clothes, made your meals, da-da-da-da. 25 years, my bed is his. If that's not love, what is? And she just basically is like, they're going around and around of her not wanting to admit she loves him, but saying, I did all these things that show you that I love you. And yeah, Beck and I can do that entire number together.
Love that.
So
I also love the message of that, by the way, that love being an action.
Yeah, you know, it's a really, and also, I haven't done the actual sort of historical side-by-side, but it's an interesting kind of historical piece about the like Russian pogroms and the treatment of Jews in Russia in this era, which I guess would have been maybe like the 1910s, 20s in Russia or whatever. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, but only because I was subjected to it when I had no other entertainment options. If you gave it to me now, I would be like, nah, this is boring.
Can I let's get out of here if I can make that call? But I want to share something with you that I've
got to quickly tear down and rebuild my house so it's more impressive.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
I got 2 hours to do it.
I just got a text message from somebody that you and I both know, and somebody who is a friend, and somebody who we worked with at Cairo Radio. But because this was a private text to me, it's just nice, by the way. It's private text to me. I'm not going to share their name. But you and I started the show talking a bit about our insecurities regarding the show and how we feel about it, and sometimes having to go back and listen to calm ourselves down or what have you. This is a friend who just texted me out of the blue just now, moments ago. Hey, so I took about a 1,600 episode break from TBTL and every other podcast for the past 6 years. But I just listened to yesterday's episode, and I'm overjoyed. I'm so happy that the show is still the show and still funny and so great. And I just love that show opening chat can still last 58 minutes, and that you still say, I don't have a Doug on this flight, which is a phrase I still use. Fantastic. Anyway, I got to say, that is just such a nice thing to hear from somebody to, out of the blue, just sort of check in on that. Especially, I just thought it was a nice end cap for it to coincidentally come through at this very moment, given how we kind of started the show talking about our jangly nerves regarding what we're putting out there every day.
Right. And you know what? When this guy comes over to give me a free boat and he looks around and thinks this is not the palace that I was imagining, I'll say, yeah, but guess what? People who sometimes haven't listened to TBTL for 1,600 episodes are happy it's still happening.
That's right. I can print this out.
You can't take that away from me.
As if this person doesn't know you well enough, as if this person hasn't heard you downplay it every time probably Becca says something nice. As if
I know.
This person doesn't
I literally
know you.
pulled Becca aside and I was like, can you please downplay? Can you please stop? Can you please stop building something up to be something that I'm worried it's not going to be, This lives completely in my own head, and as I've already said multiple times, I know that, and yet I can't stop my own head from being this terrible place where it's living, and I don't like that either. So what are you gonna do? But
let's try this.
But I'll have a full update tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about. I mean, certainly an update as to how the boat gets delivered, and it sounds like you're going to be on the water for a little bit, testing it out, kicking the tires. And by the way, if the boat has tires,
that's a problem.
Accept it. Don't accept it.
Or it means it's one of those kind of Omaha Beach amphibious deals.
Yes.
Like I could storm Rainier, Oregon with it.
That's right. You may need to.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. We are going to be back here tomorrow with more Imaginary Radio for all of you. So please do tune in for that, whether you've been listening on the daily or if it's been 1,600 episodes. Our door is always open, except when it's closed. Thanks for listening.
And if it's closed,
tomorrow.
you can open it.
Please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
My door's always open, except when it's closed, but you can open it when it's closed.
Power out.